When you start saving serious money, tell no one, not your friends, not your family, not even the people who swear they want the best for you, because the moment people know you have money, your life changes, not always in obvious ways, not always in dramatic ways, but subtly, quietly, consistently. And if you're not careful, those subtle shifts will slowly drain everything you worked for. Now, before you react, before you say, that sounds extreme, or I trust my people, stay with me, because this isn't about paranoia. This is about understanding human nature, and once you see it clearly, you won't be able to unsee it. Let me start with something simple. Money doesn't just change your lifestyle, it changes how people see you. The same person who laughed with you when you were broke might start measuring themselves against you when you're not. The same friend who is comfortable splitting bills might suddenly expect you to cover more. The same relative who never called might suddenly remember your number. And here's the dangerous part. Most of this won't come from bad intentions. It'll come from expectation, unspoken, unacknowledged, but very real. Now imagine this. You've been working quietly, cutting back, saving consistently, skipping things others indulge in while everyone else is spending. You're building, slowly, silently. Then one day, you finally reach a point where your savings are real. Not just survival money, not just emergency money, but serious money, the kind that gives you options, the kind that gives you breathing room, the kind that changes your future. And then you tell someone, maybe casually, maybe out of excitement, maybe because you trust them. And in that moment, you've just changed the dynamic forever. Here's what most people don't realize. Information about money spreads faster than money itself. You tell one person, they tell another, not out of malice, but conversation. Did you hear? He's doing really well now. And just like that, you've gone from one of us to the one who has. That label sticks. And once it sticks, people start interacting with you differently. Let's talk about pressure, because this is where things start to break. When people believe you have money, they unconsciously start adjusting their expectations. You might hear things like, "You're the one with money now. You can afford it. It's not a big deal for you." At first, it sounds harmless, even playful. But over time, it adds up. Every outing becomes slightly more expensive. Every request becomes slightly more frequent. Every small favor becomes slightly bigger. And because you don't want to seem stingy, because you don't want to ruin relationships, you say yes, again, and again, and again, until one day, you realize you're funding a lifestyle that isn't even yours. Now, here's the truth most people won't say out loud. People don't treat money emotionally. They treat it relatively. It's not about how much you have. It's about how much they think you have compared to them. If you're perceived as having more, you automatically become the buffer, the one who can handle it, the one who can step in. And that role is dangerous because it never comes with limits. Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed how people behave differently around someone they believe is wealthy? Even in small ways, the tone shifts, the jokes change, the expectations rise. Now imagine that energy directed at you every single day, not because you asked for it, but because you revealed something you didn't have to. Here's another angle: safety. The more people know about your money, the more vulnerable you become. Not necessarily to crime, though that can happen, but to dependency. And dependency is one of the hardest things to escape because it doesn't look like harm at first. It looks like support. Can you help me out just this once? I'll pay you back. I really need this. And maybe they mean it, but life happens. Things change. And suddenly, you're the safety net for everyone else while trying to protect your own. Now let's talk about something deeper. Jealousy. Not the loud, obvious kind. The quiet kind. The kind that doesn't announce itself. The kind that shows up as subtle comments, small digs, backhanded compliments. You've changed. Must be nice. Don't forget us when you're rich. It sounds like jokes, but underneath, there's discomfort because your progress forces people to confront their own situation, and not everyone handles that well. Here's where it gets even more complicated. Sometimes the people closest to you struggle the most, not because they don't love you, but because your growth disrupts the balance. If you've always been on the same level, and suddenly you're not, that shift creates tension, unspoken, unintentional, but real. And if you're not careful, you'll start shrinking yourself to maintain comfort, spending more than you should, giving more than you planned, downplaying your progress, just to keep things normal. But normal is what kept you broke. Let that sink in. The habits, the conversations, the expectations, all of it. If you go back to that just to make others comfortable, you undo everything you worked for. Now, this doesn't mean you isolate yourself. It doesn't mean you become cold or distant. It means you become intentional about what you share, about who you share it with, about how you present your life. Because privacy is not secrecy. Privacy is protection. Think about it like this. You don't walk around announcing your bank password. You don't post your PIN online. So why would you openly broadcast your financial position? It's the same principle, different form. Let's shift perspective for a moment. Imagine two people. Both have the same amount of money. One talks about it, shows it, hints at it. The other stays quiet, lives modestly, moves carefully. Who do you think keeps their money longer? Exactly. Because attention attracts pressure, and pressure leads to decisions. And decisions made under pressure are rarely good ones. Now, here's something powerful. Silence gives you control. When people don't know your financial situation, they can't build expectations around it. They can't assign roles to you. They can't quietly depend on something they're not sure exists. You remain flexible. You remain in control. You remain free. And freedom is the whole point. Let's talk about discipline, because saving serious money is not easy. It requires saying no over and over again. No to things that feel good in the moment. No to things that everyone else is doing. No to things that make you feel included. You sacrifice today for a better tomorrow. So why would you risk that just to impress someone for a few seconds? Because that's what it often comes down to. Impression, recognition, validation. You want people to see that you're doing well. You want acknowledgement. But here's the problem. The same attention that validates you also exposes you. And exposure comes with cost. Now, let's get practical. What does telling no one actually mean? It doesn't mean lying. It doesn't mean pretending to be broke. It means not volunteering information that can be used against you. It means keeping your financial progress on a need-to-know basis. It means answering vaguely when necessary. It means setting boundaries without over-explaining. For example, how much do you have saved? You don't need to answer that. You can say, I'm working on it. Simple, true, non-specific. How much did that cost? You can say, I got a good deal. Again, no details, no numbers, no unnecessary exposure. Because once numbers enter the conversation, comparisons begin. And comparisons never end well. Let's talk about lifestyle. One of the biggest mistakes people make after building savings is upgrading too quickly. New car, better apartment, more expensive habits. And here's the twist. It's not always for themselves. It's often for others, to signal success, to prove progress, to match expectations. But every upgrade raises your baseline. And once your baseline rises, it's hard to go back. So now, not only do people know you have money, they can see it. And visibility amplifies everything we've been talking about. This is where quiet wealth becomes powerful, living below your means, keeping things simple, avoiding unnecessary display, not because you can't afford more, but because you understand the long game. And the long game is about sustainability, not appearance. Let me introduce you to a concept: financial invisibility. It means your money is working, but not attracting attention. You're growing, but not broadcasting it. You're progressing without creating pressure. It's one of the most underrated advantages in life, because while others are focused on showing, you're focused on building. And building takes time. Now, here's a moment to pause. If you've made it this far, you're already ahead of most people, because most people don't think this way. They chase visibility. They chase validation. They chase the image. But you're starting to understand the reality. So here's what I want you to do. Take a second. Ask yourself, who actually needs to know about my money? Not who wants to know. Not who expects to know. Who needs to know? The list is usually very short, and that clarity changes everything. Now, before we continue, if this is resonating with you, if you're seeing things differently already, make sure you stay till the end, because the next part might completely change how you move. Let's go deeper. There's a psychological shift that happens when people know you have money. They start assigning responsibility to you without asking. You become the solution. Group trip short on funds? Ask him. Someone in trouble? He can help. Unexpected expense? She's got it. And slowly, your identity shifts from individual to resource. And once that shift happens, it's very hard to reverse, because saying no now feels like breaking a role you didn't agree to. This is why boundaries matter early, before expectations form, before roles are assigned, before pressure builds, because once it's there, you're constantly managing it. Now let's address something important. Helping people is not wrong. Supporting others is not wrong. Being generous is not wrong. But doing it from pressure, from expectation, from guilt is a problem, because it's not sustainable, and eventually it leads to resentment. You start feeling used, drained, frustrated, not because people are evil, but because the system you allowed was flawed. And it started with information. Now here's another retention point. Pay attention to this. There are 3 types of people when it comes to your money. 1, those who genuinely support you. 2, those who benefit from you. 3, those who compare themselves to you. The challenge is, you can't always tell which is which, especially early on. So the safest move is controlled exposure. Let time reveal people, not your bank balance. Now, let's talk about peace, because this is the part people overlook. When your finances are private, your mind is quieter. You're not constantly explaining, defending, justifying. You're not navigating expectations. You're not managing perceptions. You're just living, building, growing. And that peace is priceless, because money without peace is just pressure in a different form. Now, here's something that might challenge you. Sometimes the urge to tell people about your money is not about them. It's about you. It's about wanting recognition, validation, proof that your effort paid off. And that's human. But it's also dangerous, because external validation creates external dependency. You start needing reactions, approval, acknowledgement. And once that happens, your decisions become influenced not by what's best for you, but by what maintains the image. That's a trap. So instead, build internal validation. Know your progress. Track your growth. Celebrate quietly, because real success doesn't need an audience. Now we're getting close to the end, but this next part is critical, so don't skip. There will be moments where staying silent feels uncomfortable, where people ask direct questions, where situations test your boundaries. And in those moments, you have to choose comfort now or control later. Because every time you overshare, you trade a little bit of control. And control is what keeps your money safe. So here's the rule: simple, clear, powerful. If sharing your financial information doesn't serve a clear purpose, don't share it. No explanation needed, no justification required. Just don't. And watch how your life changes. You'll notice less pressure, fewer expectations, more freedom. You'll move differently, think differently, decide differently. And over time, that difference compounds, just like your money. Now, before you go, if this gave you a new perspective, if it made you rethink how you move, take that seriously, because small mindset shifts create massive long-term results. And if you want more insights like this, practical, real, unfiltered, make sure you stay connected, because there's a lot more to understand, and most people never will. Remember, build in silence, move with intention, protect your progress. And when you finally reach a level where your money is serious, let your results speak, not your words.